It's Monday, the 24th of January, and I'm not going to be talking today about coronavirus or about any other messages which are about school at the moment, because I want to introduce a plan that we have to change the school day. Now, this has been a plan that's taken a long time in the making. And it's also going to take time to put it into action, which is why I need to talk to you about it now, because we need at least 2 terms to be able to go through together just the implications of the changes that I'm going to be talking through with you now. Now, the current school day has operated for about 30 years, we think. And unfortunately, what it doesn't do is reflect the school at the moment. It doesn't, for example, reflect that we have an increase in the number of buildings we have, which means it's further to walk in between lessons. We also have a significantly larger population than we did 30 years ago. And there are curriculum changes caused by GCSE and A-level reform that haven't been reflected in the new school day. We currently have a 43 lesson day, which has allowed us to widen our curriculum, and it's very flexible, but it doesn't actually reflect the school in the present format. There are a mixture of 30 and 35-minute lessons, and that means that there's an awful lot of movement needed in between lessons. And if one lesson immediately follows another, particularly between the single periods, then that actually means a loss in learning time. As the girls move from one lesson to another, it can take 5, 7, 8 minutes before a girl is sat down and ready to learn. And that means quite a considerable build-up of lost learning time. And that can be 2 lessons over a term. Now, this mass movement of pupils is also causing congestion at key points in the school, and they need to be very carefully managed to avoid accidents. And the buildings themselves are beginning to show the wear and tear of this constant movement of girls. Now, this is the current school day for those who don't already know it. And we have made small adjustments here and there to try and reduce this movement of girls around the site. For example, removing afternoon registration at the end of the day. And we've also increased some teaching time as well. But fundamentally, what we haven't done is remove the problem caused by these single lessons, these 30-minute lessons. Now, there are some things from the current timetable that we really want to keep. For example, we want to have a 1-week timetable where we know that other schools have gone to a 2-week timetable. And that's because over 1/3 of our staff are part-time, and we want to be able to give them a consistent working timetable from week to week, and that's not possible with a 2-week timetable. We also want to make sure that we deliver Key Stage 3 as a 3-year course, because I believe that provides the breadth of curriculum that students deserve, but also that we can deliver a 2-year GCSE time. Now, we also want to make sure that we can still offer the breadth of GCSE subjects that we do at GCSE. And for me, it's important that we have a 1-hour lunch break, because that's the time for all of our extracurricular activities, and to keep the 2 20-minute morning recess. We also want to be able to make sure that we can continue to share lessons with Watford Grammar School for boys. Now, we also need to make sure that we keep long enough lessons for all of our practical subjects to take place. Now, this isn't something we've just thought of. It's been a 2-year project carried out by Dr. McPherson, the head of science. We've also looked at comparisons across similar schools and other schools in Hertfordshire. Dr. McPherson has also led a working party to look at the more details of some of the proposals that have been made, and it's been reviewed and consulted on by the governing body. Last term, I carried out a consultation with our own staff, and now, as you can see in red, this is the time when I talk to our community and to ask them to give us feedback on our plans. And then after that, I'm going to go to the wider community, because there are going to be some changes that could have an impact on how the trains run, for example. Now, this is the proposal, that all our lessons become a standard length in time. And our research has shown that it is best for us as a school to have 60-minute lessons. There will be a PACE lesson or a forum lesson if you're in the sixth form of 40 minutes. But in order to be able to have the 60-minute lessons and a 40-minute lesson, we have to change either the start of the day or the end of the day. And that's why I'm going to consult with a wider group of people other than our students and our parents and you students. But most importantly in our proposal is we've kept the same amount of teaching time over the year that we normally have. So we're not going to lose lesson time. This is the proposed school day. I'm going to give you just a couple of seconds to look at it. Now, in a normal school day, in order to have 5 lessons of 1 hour, we need to change timings of start of the day, recess and lunchtime, and therefore the end of the day. And this is the first part of our proposal. So, first of all, to start 5 minutes earlier so that we can have a morning registration. As you can see, in between each of the lessons, there is a changeover period. Recess is later than it is now. It's broadly similar to Watford Grammar School for boys timings. You can see there is also a later lunch, which again is broadly similar to Watford Grammar School for boys. And because of these changes, it would also mean, as you can see here, a slight change in the end of the day, as a slightly earlier finish. Now, we are proposing to continue to have a shorter day on a Tuesday, because this is a really important time for us to continue staff development on an ongoing basis. So this is when PACE or Forum, it becomes a 40-minute lesson in order to allow a slightly earlier finish at 3:10, but also that is when our meeting times will take place. Now, that proposal is not completely set, because there are some questions I would like to ask you, and I'm going to provide you with a link to a survey that you can contribute towards. So this is the start of the consultation period. There are going to be a series of questions that we would like to have your opinion on. First of all is the concept that there are a set length of lessons. This underlies the entire concept that we have of the reasons to change the school day. The question is, do you agree that lessons should be the same length in time? And there will be 3 possible answers: yes, no, and no opinion. The second question, the start of the school day. Now, the start of the school day is up for discussion. Therefore, which is your preferred start of the day? And there were 3 options: 8:45, 8:40 and 8:30. Now, accompanying this presentation, there is a written report, and these timetables are shown at the end of that report. So I'll just talk through them quickly now. So for example, at the start was the proposal that we start at 8:40, which means that recess will be at 11:05, that lunchtime will be at 1:10, and that we would finish at 3:30. On a Tuesday, this would mean that we would finish school at 3:10. If we keep our timings as we do now at 8:45, it means that recess will be at 11:15, and that lunchtime will be at 1:35, and the end of the school day will be at 3:35. If, however, we start at 8:30, which is the same time as the boys' school, then recess will be at 10:55, lunchtime will be at 1:20, and the end of the school day will be 3:20. And if we do the same on the Tuesday, it will be at 3 o'clock. Now, as you probably know, on a Friday, currently, we finish early. Now, we can keep this, however, it will mean a shortened lunchtime. In other words, on a Friday, lunchtime will be 40 minutes instead of an hour. So I'll illustrate what this means with the 8:40 start. If we started at 8:40 with a 40-minute lunch, we would finish at the same time as we would do on a Tuesday, which is at 3:10. If this were starting at 8:30, for example, we would finish at 3 o'clock on a Friday. We have lots of decisions to make as a school. We are quite literally building the next school day, and if that goes unchanged, you're really making decisions about the next generation up to 2050. So there are some very serious considerations to be made here. I look forward to seeing what you have to say. Thank you for listening. Please do look at the written report that goes along with this and also make your voice heard.